You know what's worse than getting rejected? Never knowing you had a shot. Spending weeks next to someone who was sending you obvious signals and missing every single one. Or the opposite, reading signs that weren't there and completely embarrassing yourself in front of everyone. We've all been on one side of that, or both. And the problem is, nobody ever taught you how to read people. Not in school, not at home, not in movies, where everything is so over the top it's useless. So today, we fix that. I'm going to give you the 5 most reliable signs, backed by actual research, that someone is attracted to you. Not vague theories, precise biological mechanisms your brain is already picking up on, but that you've never learned to consciously decode. Stay until sign number 4. It's the one everyone misses, and it's probably the most powerful of all. Before we start, one thing worth saying up front. These signals aren't dating tricks. They're automatic responses from the nervous system. Reactions the body produces before the conscious brain even has time to step in. You can't easily fake them, and the other person can't really control them. That's exactly what makes them valuable. Let's get into it. The first sign lasts less than 1/5 of a second. Literally. Psychologists call it the eyebrow flash. And if you're not actively looking for it, you're going to miss it every single time. Here's what happens. When a person sees someone they're genuinely drawn to, not just an acquaintance, not someone neutral, but someone who actually triggers something. Their eyebrows lift slightly, involuntarily, in the fraction of a second after eye contact is made. It's a recognition signal, anticipated pleasure. The brain saying, "Hey, someone important just walked in." What makes this sign so reliable is precisely how fast it happens. It occurs before the person has had time to manage their expression, before the polite smile, before the composed posture. It's raw, automatic, honest. Paul Ekman, the psychologist who spent decades cataloging micro-expressions, showed that this type of reaction is almost entirely beyond voluntary control. You can learn to smile convincingly. You can learn to hold eye contact without flinching. But controlling the reflexive lift of your eyebrows in the first half second of seeing someone, that's nearly impossible. Don't watch the person's face after they've noticed you. Watch it at the exact moment their eyes land on you. That window, not after. That's where everything happens. If the eyebrows rise, even slightly, even for a fraction of a second, take note. That's not nothing. Here's something most people will never think to check. Because everyone watches the face, the eyes, the smile. We assume that's where the truth lives. In reality, the face is the easiest part of the body to control. We know we're being watched, so we manage it. We smile when it feels necessary. We hold eye contact when we want to seem engaged. But the feet? Nobody thinks about their feet. Body language researchers, including the work of Joe Navarro, a former FBI agent specializing in nonverbal communication, have consistently documented that the feet are the most honest part of the human body, precisely because they fly under the radar of conscious awareness. And the principle is simple. Feet point toward what attracts us, or toward where we actually want to go. In a group conversation, someone can be politely talking to you while their feet are angled toward the exit, a sign they want to leave. But if, in that same group, someone's feet are facing you even while they're technically responding to someone else, their real attention is on you. That's not magic. That's the geography of physical attention. Next time you're in a meeting, at a party, at a bar, take a quick, discreet look at the feet of the people around you. Not obsessively, just a quick scan. you'll start noticing things you would never have caught before. And if the feet of the person you're interested in are pointed your way, their heart probably isn't far behind. This one is fascinating because it happens right in front of you, constantly, and yet it's almost invisible if you don't know what to look for. Psychologists call it behavioral synchrony, or more simply, unconscious mirroring. Here's what happens. When someone feels strong attraction or emotional closeness toward another person, they start reproducing that person's movements without realizing it. They pick up their drink when you pick up yours. They shift their posture when you shift yours. They align with your pace of speech, your volume, your energy. This isn't conscious copying. It's the nervous system saying, "I want to be in sync with this person." Studies conducted by Tanya Chartrand and John Bargh in the 1990s, known as the chameleon effect, showed that this mirroring strengthens the emotional bond in both directions. Not only does the person doing the mirroring feel a stronger connection, but the person being mirrored feels unconsciously more comfortable, more appreciated, without knowing why. It's a positive feedback loop that runs entirely below the level of awareness. Here's a small test you can run. Subtly shift your posture during a conversation. Cross your legs. Rest your chin in your hand. Tilt your head slightly. Wait a few seconds. Does the person across from you adjust their position within the next minute? If yes, that's a strong signal. Not an absolute certainty, but a signal. This is my favorite sign. And it's the one almost everyone overlooks, because it doesn't show up in the moment. It reveals itself later, sometimes days later, sometimes weeks. Here's the mechanics. The human brain is a permanent filter. It takes in thousands of stimuli every hour and discards the vast majority. We forget most conversations we have. We forget what people told us yesterday. That's normal. It's how the brain manages its processing load. But when someone is attracted to a person, something shifts in that filtering process. Everything that person says gets flagged as high priority. Stored, retained, not because they're consciously trying to memorize things, but because attraction works like an attention amplifier. It quietly increases the perceived importance of every piece of information that comes from you. Concrete result: the person remembers that you like your coffee black, that you mentioned in passing wanting to go to Japan, that your dog's name is Marco, that you had a rough week 3 weeks ago. Small throwaway details you mentioned once without giving them a second thought. When someone brings one of those details back up weeks later, not to impress you, just naturally in conversation, that's not a coincidence. That's your brain receiving proof that you're not a small detail to that person. If you want to test someone's interest, drop a small personal detail into a conversation. Something easy to forget. Something you mention naturally, without emphasis. Then pay attention in the weeks that follow to whether it comes back up. The answer will tell you a lot. The last sign is probably the hardest to evaluate, because context matters enormously here. I'm not talking about anything inappropriate or ambiguous. I'm talking about something very specific. Small physical contacts that seem incidental, almost accidental, that accumulate across everyday interactions. A hand briefly placed on your forearm to emphasize a point. A shoulder brush in passing. Leaning in slightly so your arms touch. A fleeting contact on your hand during a laugh. In psychology, this is called haptic communication. Communication through touch. And research in this area, including the work of Dasher Keltner at Berkeley, consistently shows that people who feel attraction significantly increase the frequency of these contacts, often without being fully aware of it. The key word here is frequency. A single touch doesn't mean much on its own. It could just be a cultural habit, a polite reflex. But an accumulation of small contacts, regular ones, that gently intensify over time. That's the body seeking proximity to what it's drawn to. And again, this isn't a fully calculated behavior. The body often gets there before the conscious decision does. Does this person touch you more than others in the group? Has the frequency increased since you've gotten to know each other? Do these contacts happen even when they're not strictly necessary? If the answer is yes, take note. Let's bring it together. The eyebrow flash, the face's reaction before conscious control kicks in, the direction of the feet, physical attention betrays emotional attention, unconscious mirroring. The body seeks to sync with what it's attracted to. The memory of small details. Attraction is an attention amplifier. And accidental physical contact. The body seeks closeness before the mind decides. What all 5 of these signs have in common is that they're involuntary. They bypass the conscious brain. They don't need to be spoken to exist, which also means that people who are drawn to you can't fully hide it. Their body speaks before their mouth does. What you're learning today is simply how to listen to what bodies are already saying. One last thing. These signals aren't a magic formula. They don't all need to be present at the same time to be meaningful. And they don't replace a real conversation, a real connection, real honesty between 2 people. But they stop you from spending weeks asking the wrong question, or missing someone who was just waiting for you to look in the right direction. If this gave you something concrete, subscribe. Next one goes even further. How to decode signals of disinterest with the same precision. Because knowing when to move forward is good. Knowing when not to push is better. See you there.